All right. Well, we've critically used philosophy and I'm sorry, of evidence and of trying to be this content neutral position. We've talked about the use of theology, and now we're talking about the critical use of philosophy. And that evidentialists generally disapprove of the kind of philosophical apologetics that seeks to construct a deductive system of proof for Christianity. But this does not mean, however, that evidentialism is hostile to all philosophy. So it's not that they reject philosophy. Oh, there's too much reason in the world today. We just need to deal with the facts. No, that's not actually the case. So their rejection isn't of all philosophy here. Well, the difference between classical apologists and evidentialists may be identified from one perspective as the difference between two broad conceptions of the task of philosophy. The speculative or constructive view of philosophy understands that the task to construct a comprehensive view of knowledge, reality, and values. In this conception of philosophy, it is a discipline of thought in its own right and yields knowledge not found in other disciplines.
Right. So one way to consider what philosophy does is that it constructs in its own discipline knowledge, right? That's one way to view it. But our authors tell us in the 20th century, a number of philosophers questioned this historic understanding of the task of philosophy. In its place, they contended for the analytical or critical conception of philosophy.
Right.
And so according to which the task of philosophy is to not construct knowledge, but to clarify the meaning of knowledge claims and to assess the rationality of those claims, right? So in this conception, philosophy is strictly speaking a kind of second order discipline that does not yield knowledge of its own, but simply examines and clarifies the knowledge claims of other first-order disciplines, right? And so this analytical, critical kind of conception of philosophy is the other kind of way that the 20th century has moved with regard to philosophy. And so for most philosophers who advocate this view, the primary, if not the only, first-order disciplines are the sciences. Including both the natural sciences like physics and chemistry and biology and so forth, and the human sciences like psychology and sociology and history, et cetera. And so that then is the kind of the two ways to approach what philosophy is and what philosophy does. Does it construct its view? Construct its own content, construct its own understanding of the world? Is that what philosophy is supposed to do? Or is it a second order discipline that looks at other first order disciplines and kind of analyzes and critiques those orders to help clarify the meanings and that sort of thing, right? So those are the kind of two approaches that they suggest philosophy has.
Right. Boy, biology being mixed in with sociology, I'm sure both those disciplines just enjoy that aspect. Yeah. And then you have math on top of that. So you have math that we think, oh, yes, we do math to get an answer that, gets us to the moon or the number of apples in a basket. But then you do math for the sake of math that then you're like, well, here's a proof. I'm proving a triangle. Okay, cool. So maybe math is our outlier there. Well, evidentialists generally reject the constructive view and embrace the analytical or critical view, for in their apologetic, the sciences provide the evidence for the truth claims of Christianity. So they're going to take the secondary approach here. Since the evidence of Christianity must come from first-order disciplines such as history and science, the main role of philosophy for the evidentialist is to expose and critique what Montgomery calls bad philosophy. Ooh, that bad philosophy. Evidentialists critique non-Christian worldviews and philosophies not primarily by demonstrating logical incoherence, as in classical apologetic critiques, but by showing that these systems of thought are resistant to or incapable or incompatible, however, with the facts. So, this doesn't match up with the facts. You can throw it out. That's the bad philosophy.
Right.